With the rising numbers and population of space debris, which increases the potential danger to not only space vehicles, but humans, we ask, what is space junk? More than 27,000 pieces of orbital debris or space junk are being tracked by the Department of Defense's Global Space Surveillance Network. Is it all just junk?
Sometimes we are lucky to capture some of that orbital space debris or space junk on camera from some of the many STS missions to the ISS space station or space station Mir, or when they are deploying satellites into space or servicing the Hubble telescope. We have collected 44 of the best videos from NASA's STS archive, and they will show you objects moving in space, and you will be questioning, is it all just junk?
Takes the threat of collisions with space debris seriously and has a long-standing set of guidelines on how to deal with potential collision and threat to the space station. Space debris encompasses both natural meteoroid and artificial human-made orbital debris. Meteoroids are in orbit about the Sun, while most artificial debris is in orbit about the Earth, hence the term orbital debris.
But is it orbital space debris or space junk we are looking at in this clip? It's definitely moving around. Listen carefully to the conversation with Mission Control and the astronaut and how they together debunk it.
Columbia, Houston, could you tell us what your TV view is showing?
Well, the sun has actually risen on the belly side of the orbiter, so we're getting some light scattered down from the very bright tail onto the camera lens, and then those little white dots moving around are the little ice crystals surrounding the orbiter. So as we come into across the terminator, maybe we'll turn on one of the color cameras.
Copy that. I was waiting for the opening credits of Star Trek to go down the screen there. And we see the lightning.
And actually, this is living proof that everybody who asked the question, can you see stars during the daytime from space? And here, right on the TV, as long as you're in the shadow, you can see them, as we all know who have been up here. But this is a nice picture for everybody on the ground. They can show what we see. Now we're coming over the terminator.
We see
and
that.
One by one, the stars disappear.
Great stuff, Columbia.
Did you hear that? Did you hear how quickly the dialogue changed from ice to stars? That we captured it? Was it space junk? Orbital debris is any human-made object in orbit around the Earth that no longer serves a useful function. Such debris includes non-functional spacecraft, abandoned launch vehicle stages, mission-related debris, and fragmentation debris. there are approximately 23,000 pieces of debris larger than a softball orbiting our Earth.
Is what we are looking at here orbital debris? And if it is, why is there light on it? And why are some of it changing direction slowly in space? Is it all just junk?
We also have the US Space Force's 18th Space Control Squadron, known as the 18 SPCS, Secret Space. These guys are responsible for performing all kinds of assessments designated by NASA. The Space Force's tasks are to control the network and the surveillance of space, and to detect any additional threat or object in our area.
Is this video showing us orbital debris, or is it showing us a craft passing underneath the space module? Could it be secret space? Could it be a test flight? Or could it be something else?
With the increasing amount of space debris and the advent of mega constellations of thousands of satellites, there are fears that collisions such as that between Iridium-33 and Cosmos 2251 could set off a chain reaction called the Kessler syndrome, after scientist Donald Kessler.
Could this be a satellite we are looking at in the distance? And if it is, wouldn't NASA have told us there's nothing to see here, it's just a satellite? We have been taught, we have been told that everything we see is ice particles. Look at this ice particle in the middle of the screen now, coming from the right side, going to the left. It's slowing down and it stopped. This is an amazing ice particle because it's the first ice particle in my lifetime that I've seen in space stop up, change direction and fly back in the same direction it came from, in front of a still standing camera. Is it all really just junk?
Just take a look at this little one. This flashy little space debris seems to be moving in a completely straight direction, and it moves straight past the space shuttle in front of it. Just what is this intelligent little ice particle that glows?
Monitor that I'm looking at shaking. On your video, when the jets are firing, do you see the camera moving at all, oscillating?
About 30 or so feet to go before we reach our point of closest approach. This particular picture is from Mir. And all rendezvous activities continue to go very smoothly. All orbiter systems are functioning as expected.
The Department of Defense maintains a high, accurate satellite catalogue on objects in Earth's orbit. Most of the catalogued objects are larger than a softball and approximately 10 centimeters. Some of the debris can travel at speeds up to 17,500 miles an hour, fast enough for a relatively small piece of orbital debris to damage a satellite or spacecraft.
But is that what we are looking at in this video? Orbital debris?
Deborah Houston, we show the right stars, but we'd like you to clear the star table on spec 22, please.
Okay, Chris, we see that also. We're looking at the -E tracker, trying to make sure there wasn't any bright objects in the field of view, and looks like...
Even tiny paint flecks can damage a spacecraft when travelling at these velocities. A number of space shuttle windows were replaced recently because of damage caused by material that was analysed and shown to be paint flecks. Millimetre-sized orbital debris represents the highest mission-ending risk to most robotic spacecraft operating in low Earth orbit.
Are we looking at millimeter-sized objects blasting its way through space? And is it even possible to see objects that small in space? I think we are looking at something else.
This is Mission Control Houston. This television view from Discovery shows the Mir space station, what is believed to be the Mir space station. Moving out of the screen now at the bottom of the picture. Or no, actually about in the center of the frame, just below the center at the lower end of the picture. Again, the instrumentation and communication officer here in Mission Control believes
good communications link that could be required during the final stages of landing. The Edwards landing facility is being called up to support tomorrow in the wake of the problem that was encountered this morning with one of the channels on the flight control system, channel 1. While it does not impact the systems, the flight control systems, because of complete levels of redundancy, it does require the flight control teams to call up the backup landing site in the event that may be required for tomorrow. There are several options that are being looked at for tomorrow. The most prominent one is to call up the backup landing site in the event that the team elects to use the backup landing site.
Discovery Houston, we're about a minute and a half from Tidris East LOS. We'll pick you up through Diego Garcia at 2238.
Okay, we'll see you in about 5 minutes.
Just look at NASA deploying this satellite. Take a look in the background. Do we think this is just ice crystals? Just what is going on there? What are the lights?
Нам надо, значит, флаг с левой стороны наш повесишь, ниже а справа будут американские, наверное, канадские флаги. Я пока здесь буду 25 минут, да.
The Shuttle Mir complex now flying over the southern Pacific Ocean.
Ребята, я слышу, как у вас гарнитура там ездит туда-сюда. Где-то на дальнем фоне идут разговоры.
As pressure checks continue on both sides, from a Mir standpoint and from the shuttle standpoint with the docking module.
Atlantis for Jim.
Go ahead, Story.
You may be real busy, but we do have KU band now for the dock and downlink.
And Story, we have a couple cards of ESC that we could send down if you want to see some of that also.
Atlantis, can you read the director lights?
Crew members continue with this rescue demonstration of the Safer Unit. Discovery is crossing across the North Sea, portion of Europe, and just about to move from sunlight into sunset, thus the blooming effect of the camera lens.
Looks like you got an object right in front of you, Mark. Can you look out there? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Never mind. Are we missing something? I don't see anything. Yeah, we think the camera filter came off, Mark. It's about your 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock going away. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Okay?
So far, all we have seen on these videos from the STS missions have been debunked by NASA as ice crystals, light reflections, and space junk. But is it all really just junk? I think there's way more to it that we've been shown so far from NASA. And still, I say to this day today, ice crystals and space junk don't change direction in space, and they don't pulsate light. So what are we looking at on these STS missions videos? I think we are looking at something else. This is a great example from NASA. They call it stars. Just keep looking and you will see the stars slowly changes position. Is it really stars we're looking at? Or could it be something else? When we are talking of impressive videos from NASA, this one gotta be one of the best they ever given us. It shows a whole fleet of light coming out of Earth's atmosphere and moving up into space. I thought space debris were orbiting the Earth or flying in space, not leaving Earth. Or is it space debris, or could it be something else we are looking at?
Okay, you go for the translation down the sill and back.
Okay.
And Mike, I've got you in sight. Looking good. Bernard, I've got you in sight. Looking good.
Okay.
And cycling through the payload bay cameras of Atlantis.
Atlantis, Houston, we saw about a ½ degree slip in shoulder yaw. We are go to press ahead with the RCS hot fire. However, we will stop if we see it again.
Okay, copy. We'll continue, and if we see another slip, we'll stop.
Good read back.
As we look at this, it almost looks like ice crystals evaporating into space. But then on a closer look, it almost becomes intelligent. Lights that move and change direction.
Now this is an interesting one. We saw it in the beginning, the flashing light, pulsating light, and it moved in a straight line. I first thought it was far out in the distance, but I realized as soon as it got to the module that it's actually passing in front, as you can see, of the module, of the space shuttle. We're looking at the cargo bay. So this is a tiny object we just saw passing by, pulsating light. Could it be that everything we see are tiny objects, like this one we just saw? Or is it just this one we actually managed to see in front of the space shuttle? Could it be an ice crystal? Or is it something intelligent? Imagine being in space as an astronaut, being up there for 3 to 6 days. How many anomalies do you think the astronaut spots or see every day?
Take a look at this footage that we've let run for 6 minutes in total. See if you can check out how many anomalies that you see. And bear in mind, these astronauts are up there for days. I wonder how many objects they really capture that is debris, ice particles, or could it be something else? Did you count how many you saw? You can always use the magical tool. Stop, rewind, and play again. We can't deny that some of what we're seeing is ice particles that seems to be coming from the same direction. But then we take a look at little lights like this that are moving in completely the opposite direction. Just what is this little blip going past on the screen?
This is Mission Control Houston. We are receiving television from Discovery as it flies about 210 nautical miles above the Persian Gulf, tracking generally southeast before flying over the Indian Ocean.
Take a look at these lights. It seems to be some kind of fleet of lights just hovered on the Earth. And this one, is this an ice particle? It seems to be flashing. Intelligent ice. Is it all just junk?
Look at this light anomaly that appears on the screen now. It looks to me like it's passing in front of the Mir space station, not behind it. Which tells me that it's in between the space station and the space shuttle, so this can't be a huge object, this gotta be a small object. But what about all the other objects we see in the background? Are they all small objects, or are some of them in the distance? I say there is more to it than we know of. This is just one of many clips that shows pulsating lights near the Mir space station. Is it all really just junk?
as we look at the Russian space station Mir, notice what's in the background. What are we looking at here? Is this intelligent space junk?
The right side of the picture with the Yoast flyer in the middle.
40 feet. Roger, Endeavour.
Endeavour now just 130 feet away from the Yoast.
Take a look at this as Endeavour is approaching the satellite it is hosting to service. At the bottom of the screen we begin to see what looks like flashing little lights. Space debris, ice particles, or something else. But then as we look a little further, we begin to notice from the bottom of the screen pops up some kind of flashing orb, pulsating lights. Is this just space junk?
125 feet.
Roger.
And we're at 100 feet on the laser.
100.
With the collected data from all the NASA compilations that we've put together, I take a look at what's ice, what's space debris, but there's still those things out there that leave me with the question, is this space junk that I'm looking at? Does space junk have intelligent life? Does space junk move at high velocities and speeds, changing angles and directions at phenomenal speeds? I still ask the question, is it all just junk? Take a look at the top right corner. Just what is this unmistakably triangular shaped object? Is it just space junk, debris, ice particles, secret space program, or something else?
It's clear to see when the camera moves around what's dust on the lens and what's in the distance. Is it all really just junk?
This is Mission Control Houston. This view from one of the forward payload bay cameras on board Columbia, looking back toward the aft section of the shuttle as Columbia is high over the Pacific Ocean, just passing from darkness into daylight. On board, the astronauts are asleep with just about an hour and 20 minutes remaining before their wake-up call from Mission Control. That call is expected at 10:56 a.m. Central Time and will mark the start of Flight Day 3 for the 5-member crew of Columbia. One of the first activities for the crew members will be on the flight deck as Commander Ken Cockrell and pilot Kent Rominger conduct another rendezvous burn to maintain a constant distance between Columbia and the Orpheus SPAS satellite. The two spacecraft currently are separated by a distance of about 30 statute miles or 26 nautical miles.
Check out the lights as they move across the screen. What are we looking at here? Is this space junk? This is probably one of the most talked about and viewed pieces of space junk known. This is the one that they famously nicknamed the Black Knight satellite. There's not only a conspiracy that goes around with this, there's also facts from NASA stating that this was space debris. We'll dive a little bit deeper into this in episode 2, but for now, take a look at this odd looking piece of space debris. Is it just space junk? Take a look at this light as it moves away from the Earth's atmosphere and then seems to head out straight. Intelligent eyes?
Oh yeah. Hey. Yeah, it's got a lanyard on it. I'm going to leave it like that, which it's kind of halfway. I guess got to ask the ground that story. I had a lot of trouble getting the pip pin pulled out here. I had to take 2 hands to pull it through the plastic part. It's not binding on the pip pin action itself. It goes down in real smooth into the change-out position, but it would be really tough with one hand. I think impossible to get out if it was fully seated. Halfway seated, it's a maybe. Okay, they might, kind of their call if they want to buy off on later leaving it in the change out, or would rather leave it in the normal. Copy, Sue.
This television shows Thornton at the array to be jettisoned.
Okay, this brings me a lot higher here, Story, than in the water. I think it's going to be all right.
Hey, trip handles in. I'm going
to get the Velcro strap on the left, Story, since I'm here. And if I've got to go, it's safe.
Take a look at the stationary light just above. You can see that little light that comes up there and beeps. It then seems to change direction. And we've all seen how NASA and their astronauts have the protocol of handling certain things that happen in space while they're on a live stream. There's certain key words that are used, where it's clear communication with the astronaut and mission control of what they're really seeing. Take a look at these two astronauts. Take a look in the background of what's going on behind them. They're totally unaware of the lights that's passing by behind them. Or are they? Do they know? Do they just turn a blind eye?
Who need access to space, and oftentimes we can provide them that access much more quickly if we use the hardware that's already in the inventory of our spacefaring partners.
Space agencies across the globe are represented. The European Space Agency, the Canadian Space Agency, the French National Center for Space Studies, the German Space Agency, the National Space Development Agency of Japan, and the National Aeronautics and Space Administration.
Here is another famous clip from NASA's archive. It's from the STS-48 mission, and it shows a flash of light appearing on the screen. A little what I'll describe as a light bullet flying across the screen, and then you see all the other objects around starting to change direction. Did you see it? We speeded it up 4 times for you to see it quick. I think it's about time to see it in real time. And notice that all the objects we have pointed out with a little ring on are all changing direction.
This camera is staring into space. It somewhat gets distorted as it tries to focus. But look, when it does focus, what does it capture? What are we looking at here deep into space?
And Houston for Story, I did block 15 Delta. Did I miss a update message on that?
It is amazing that all the way from up there in space we can send transmissions to space stations on Earth, satellite receiving station like this one in Cornwall. We can get videos and photographs and audio. It makes me wonder how many transmissions have they got that we don't know about that could show us more than we already have seen. Thank you for watching Space Junk. But stay tuned. In next episode we dive into the mystery of the Black Knight satellite, the STS-88 missions.
So now, looking at the billions of pieces of space junk we have floating around, will it ever come back to Earth? And it still leaves me with the question, what is space junk? Is it all just junk?